interesting projects and got last year first prize for interior architecture as best interior public interior Baltic Film and Medium School. Okay, please, stage is yours.
Okay, hello. My name is Ville Lausmäe, and as Urmo introduced me already, but I'm here to represent our company called VLS that has a, we have been doing stuff since 2007, and there's 4 of us, and in a way this symposium has, it's a bit related to our problems in our work. So the thing I'm going to focus here with examples from our office's work is the way we find inspiration or try to create different projects. So in a way it's theory to practice. So, or in our case it was first practice to theory. So as you can see, I kind of laid out the things I'm going to speak about. But basically, we had, for a while, we were doing different projects. Some of them were good, some of them were not so good. Some of them we were happy with, others were like things we wanted to more or less forget. So, so we had an issue to find a theory or a kind of spell it out. What are we doing? Why are we doing? How things we made that came out good, what was the difference between these that came out bad? So it's a kind of self-educating way of creating this kind of theory. So, so we kind of started looking at things that, where do we turn to? So, so the lots of issues here. There's aesthetics, practicality, kind of professionalism, also these all kinds of life issues that are very distantly related to the project at hand. I don't know, how does the social group you are doing things, how do they live, for example, what do they wear, where do they go, and so on. So there was like lots of things we kind of were studying in a way. So so there was a lot of information, and at one point we kind of started to try to narrow it down and kind of define it. So in a way, it's like lots of information. What should we base our decisions upon? How to make choices? So this was the kind of main problem for us, because some things were good, some weren't. So at first, I would kind of create the background of the examples I'm going to show. It's at first there was this. We were trying to define what is good, and this meant that the interiors we created, the interiors that had a function, that had a afterwards where life came into them, these were good. So our point was that the interiors you create, they're like less installations and less like standalone objects. They are usually a backdrop or a background for some kind of human activity, and thereby the interior kind of has to take that into account. It has to be for something, for someone. So this is the thing we kind of thought that could be the identity of the place. For an example, I made an example. For an example, there is a classroom, there's this functional side. You need chairs, you need tables, you need a kind of calm background for stuff. So, what makes it, what gives it identity? So, for example, if there's an art school that has been around for decades, for example, there was this Estonian Arts Academy old building. There were scribbles on the walls, and someone had made a fresco in the corridor, and this stuff kind of gave it identity. It was nothing to do with aesthetics, nothing to do with practicality. In a way, it was actually like counteracting practicality, you know, difficult to clean and not looking very beautiful and so on, but nevertheless, the places had very strong identity. So we kind of found out with lots looking, you know, around in life everywhere, that this identity is the thing we kind of must find in everything. So when this is found, then you kind of have a method of creating the object, or you get a, or creating the project. So you have a goal. Otherwise, it's just like you can't choose. For example, shall we do it like this? Shall we do it like that? So on. So, okay, we had a kind of problem. We had a, like, in a way, solution, what we have to do. It's very simple, actually, very kind of natural, but, you know, surprisingly, sometimes it doesn't come out like that. So you just like do something. Someone comes and says, I need a, I don't know, a classroom, then you just do a classroom. So it's a kind of issue to realize it. So, but the question became where to find inspiration. And since we're kind of a company that, or a team that does lots of different things, our portfolio consists of, I don't know, very small, and a colleague of mine was just doing a boat shack. So it's a very small, and for example, the Baltic Media Film and Media School was on the large end. So there's like private customers, public clientele, so on, everything business related in between. So you have to kind of find an inspiration for everything. For you know, at that point, there's a kind of where to look. So I know this symposium was about, you know, at least the title or the front, like in the beginning, then there was a client issue also. So for us, it's in a way very related, because we usually look for this inspiration towards the client. Meaning, we try to study the life of the client. And here it's important that the client for us usually, or like sometimes he or she is a person, but usually isn't. So the client is a social group, a piece of, or a part of society, I don't know, some kind of phenomenon, meaning the client is someone you are serving your project to, or like someone who will start using it. So in a way, if you're thinking about the simple classroom example, you can say, okay, the client is a child who, I don't know, studies and sits on the chair, so he needs a chair and table and so on. So you're already catering to the client in a way. But to take it on the further level and to try to create an interior that kind of supports the activity the client is requiring, or kind of emphasizes it, or like somehow helps the process along. So, so I think this is the kind of extra layer of that makes the interior good in a way. It also gives identity and helps the working process a lot. So you don't have a any more a question, should I paint this wall, I don't know, red or black or whatever. So usually it's like if you have a general idea or a concept that is you have put together, so all these issues come naturally and very quickly, thereby also you're catering well to the client in a broader meaning, and also your work process is really fast and really kind of determined. So, okay. I will now, I hope this I spoke is about just to kind of put together the logic we work. So I will show some examples and describe how we made them, because I think it's more, because we are very like practicing office, so we kind of, it's easier for me to explain the decisions and so on. So, for example, here you can see this last year opened G4S, which is the security company. It's their headquarters lobby ceiling. Actually looks, I think, very kind of, I don't know, in English it's like very total, very imposing, very kind of very large. Or I don't know if you get the scale. The next picture will tell you about it, but it's, I don't know, this one panel I think is 1.5 meters by 1.5 meters. But the issue was, here, I'll put the next slide. Okay. Our client was G4S, which means here in Estonia they have, they're into everything. They're providing home security, they're doing the national money transfer from ATMs to shops and back and so on. I think there are some ambulances also, and in every shop there is a security guy from this company. So they're kind of everywhere. So we really looked like, how does this make us feel? So the emotion of the client kind of put forward that we were like trying to understand. We were trying to put it into like real, or like try to build something that gives the same emotion. So in a way, this room, it's the lobby. If you go there, it's really silent, because this whole stuff, this whole kind of hat on top of it is covered with acoustics from behind, so you get a really quiet and peaceful atmosphere, but also because it is kind of massive and it's like really sitting on top of you, you get a little bit oppressed feeling, meaning, and a little bit you are in something very kind of powerful. And so in a way, our idea was that in this room you are a little bit inside the stuff that G4S represents in Estonian society, meaning they're everywhere, you kind of feel surrounded by them if you just like look around a bit. So this was one of the like aspects. So this gave us a kind of idea, we need something total, like something really powerful to give a kind of room illusion or a room kind of emotion in the space. So why the cube and why the strips? This was another issue, because the building was, there was an architect had a kind of concept that the building is a bunch of cubes that go smaller, and the plan layout, everything was like cube-like, and the strips are like came from two things. One was also a simple reason, because the building had outside wooden slats that were like looking little similar to this one. But the other thing was that at one point we were thinking about surveillance. So someone kind of watches you and you don't see who watches you. Then we were thinking about harem courtyards, meaning on the harems in India there was originally, you know, the guests were in the courtyard, but there were these windows that had really small like holes. So in the courtyard you could always like understand someone is watching you, but you couldn't always like get who, because you couldn't see the people behind the grills, but you could understand they were looking at you. So this is the thing from behind. Actually, the second floor is where now, when this was the first floor of the lobby, then this is the kind of behind the white hat there. Originally, it was meant to be G4S recreational kind of area where there were like chairs and they were sitting there. So right now it's unbuilt yet, but it will be built, something will be there. So, but the construction there, it's already in place. And you can walk there. And if you are up there, you can really survey the people downstairs. You can see what are they doing. And while sitting downstairs and waiting for, I don't know, a job interview or a meeting or something, you can always have this feeling that you are watched. Because you can see the shadows moving behind this stuff, but you downstairs, you never know who is looking, what is looking, so on. So this is a kind of example how we try to kind of make something for the client and kind of emphasize their point or like their idea in the society. What do they represent? Of course, it's like matter of presentations. Right now, I'm presenting it more aggressively, meaning it's not completely positive always. But you know, on the other hand, you can say like, okay, G4S is everything. They are very powerful, and you present the project in a way that's okay. This will represent the powerful nature for you. So on the same subject, this was actually a on the same subject, the different company, they were doing security, selling some kind of security, I don't know, these smoke sensors and stuff. So, and they needed an office, so we made a kind of place where you feel very kind of, I don't know, technological, very grand, because you know smoke sensors are quite boring. So this was even more like the inspiration was more like distant and more far away. So if you think like someone is selling sensors, then it's you kind of think and think and think, and at one point you come to, I don't know, James Bond movies and really secure bank vaults and so on, and then you come to this kind of final visual representation. Okay, so much for security companies. This, for an example, is this film and media school project. Here was this, if I will give a brief description about it. It's a new building in the Tallinn University campus that, and they built a small, it's about, I think, 6,000 square meters, and it's a school for studying film, and you know, everyone is there except actors, but the people who make the movies. So in a way, very simple deduction of the logic. Okay, they're making films, then we need to make a film-themed house, meaning we put like old cameras and, I don't know, film strip themes for railings and whatever. So this was actually not the thing they were doing. We checked and some of the film schools. We hanged around the people who make the films. So we understood they're actually very, very technological. So the idea of this project was to, at one point, make them feel at home. It's a place of business, meaning they are doing stuff there. So we came to a concept where there are no decorations in the building. So meaning every constructional beam, every ventilation pipe, whatever kind of element in the building is taken into the interior concept, meaning we're kind of aestheticizing the technologic aspect of the building. So when we thought about technology and so on, and when we saw the ventilation project drafts that, I don't know, there was a very heavy ventilation system there because they were making live fire in the movie pavilions and so on and so on. So at one point we understood, okay, this looks like the oil refinery in eastern Estonia. So, but you can't have just pipes. So we kind of tried to make the pipes aesthetical. So, but the point is, there was a concept there, kind of honesty, and so we just tried to make it presentable and a nice environment to be in. So there's I think this is the lobby area where you can see the white ones are the building structural beams. You can see some pipes here. Everything is visible, everything is very honest, everything is very functional in a way. So this is the same buildings, this lounge area. So the building itself was very technological, very honest, very kind of strict. So in contrast, we made the furniture part, which is actually not a part of the, the concrete walls and the steel beams and so on. We made them more friendly, more soft, so on. So with this, we tried to bring the kind of human aspect into the project. So here's a picture of the office, very kind of Spartan, but when it came to life, I don't have a picture, unfortunately, about it. So these were not neat people. They were not like people coming with suits in the office. They had post-its everywhere. They had their own movie posters. They had, I don't know, everything was a mess. So they kind of brought the life in it. So, and the interior was a kind of just a background for the things they do. So it's more like creating natural environment. So, and here's the last project I will bring out as an example. This is a nightclub, Bon Bon, which was in Tallinn, which is, right now it's already demolished. And the point is, this is a very kind of teaching example because it looked really great, but it was one of the biggest failures for us, or like for the client and for everyone. And the point is, here there was a kind of miscommunication between the client and us. And I think it was a kind of split personality issue with the client, meaning the client as a group who was our, like, the people who ordered this project. What happened? It's, at first our task was to, or I will give a very brief description. This Bon Bon Club was actually, it's a kind of legendary club was in Estonia. It had been around 10 years with lots of different interior designs and so on. Every time before it was, at first I think it was Moroccan style, then it was a kind of Baroque with chandeliers and red velvet and so on. And it had a very solid core clientele, meaning there were like people who came there, it was a status symbol, you were going to this club and so on. And the owners at one point, when it got a bit boring, they came to us, okay, we need a new club. And they put forward the concept as they are doing something completely new. At one point, they even considered changing the name. So this was supposed to be kind of high-tech, a bit like new age club music place with a bit glamour in it, but still it's a kind of very new thing, totally new clientele, everything new. But what happened? Because we were kind of outsourced for the interior, we were handling only the interior part. And we made the interior as we understood it. We were like watching music videos and talking to people and doing things. But also going to clubs and, you know, we were trying to make the, I don't know, maybe at least visually, one of the best clubs in the world. But what happened on the other side was that the client was at one point not so sure anymore. So, for an example, the music that was played there was the same Europop that was for the people that originally went there. And the promotions and the parties and everything was also for the same gang. So here became a kind of conflict. I understand because it's a very big change for the company or the club to make like total makeover. Maybe it's even, maybe you don't even know how to make it. But in the end, it came out the people who this club was catering for, they didn't like the interior, which is natural because they are like completely different people. And also the people who would have liked the interior, they didn't like the music, they didn't like the people who run this. It's a kind of, you know, a little bit like mafia style with 90s guys going around in the club. So here was a conflict. So in a way, in our heads, we were making the thing like really correctly. We were trying to understand the client in a narrow field, with like kind of showing we are making this and so on. And in a broader sense, we were really trying to understand the subculture. But the point is, we were trying to understand the wrong subculture. So it was the place was running for a time. They tried to change it, but then at one point, no more like economical reason in it, so they closed it, and I think they tore it down, and right now there's a place called Chocolate there, which is a very simple, glamour-oriented club. So in my mind, this is a very good kind of example of you are trying to find the inspiration and you know why you are doing it and so on, but something goes wrong, and that like in reality, no one needs it because it's based on the wrong things. So I don't know. I hope these few examples I showed. This is the last. Oh, there are a couple of more pictures about it. This is the bar. I think it's too much light here. It's not, can't be seen very well. And this is my colleague Peter in the DJ booth there doing some testing. So, but the idea in the club was that it's like everything changes with the music, and we had LED screens and like lots of colored surfaces. Everything you see with a color here had an opportunity to change with the color. Actually, the people running the club, they never learned how to use these technological like possibilities. So and so on. So it kind of failed. But it was a kind of nice, nice visual experimenting. Fortunately, at someone else's cost. So, but okay. Thank you. I hope I made my point clear.
Thank you, Ville. Any questions? We take just one question because we have lack of time.
Thank you. I'm the old client of Bonbon. And I wasn't quick enough to go there to see the new interior, but I understand you were doing different things. Your client asked you to do something new for new people, new ideas, new music.
Yeah.
But have you asked from yourself why these new people didn't come there?
Because they didn't give them music, and they didn't give them, you know, it's a part of a bigger theory. We did a lot of research here, like real life research, meaning we were going to bars and so on. People here tend to be quite subculture oriented. They go to places where other people like them go. So they don't go like, I don't know, just experimenting. For example, I'm an indie guy and now I go to Europe bar just for fun. So maybe I'll find someone. So the bigger problem was marketing and so on. So the people who this interior was intended to, they never came to this place because the club in all other aspects was not catering to them. So it's a very big kind of misunderstanding in the client as an organization who's like trying to build a business. There's not just one person involved. It's like lots of people who are making a kind of business direction, what to make, and also a big communication error between like us and the client. So it kind of never, the club itself never hooked with the interior or vice versa. So it's a kind of don't know. For example, I would have liked this interior, but I didn't like the music or the like what is going on there. So I never went there. Okay, I went in the opening and I think 2 more times because I had some kind of free card. You know, someone was going home. I was going there, looking how it goes, but it didn't cater anything else. So I think the club never researched the clientele properly, who are their original clientele, or who is the clientele they're trying to reach now. So, and they never told us that there is a conflict in it. And I think the conflict came because the old clientele was strong and no one was brave enough to give them the boot in a way. So this was this conflict, I think.
Okay, one more. Yes, please.
May I ask you something? The commissioner was not the man behind the bar, I think.
No.
That's it.
Short question and short answer. Okay, thank you for Ville.
Okay,
Lausmäe.
thank you.